Welcome, everyone, to another special 1 hour edition of Becoming Awesome, AWS's live stream podcast where Amazon insiders introduce you to the humans of AWS. I'm your host, Ray Thomas, along with my co host, Jenna Lass. I'm part of the AWS's infrastructure organization. Now, whether you're streaming through our live link and just lurking, or sign into your YouTube or Twitch account live and ready to engage with us in the chat room, or even watching the video on demand later on. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Today we have two leaders from our AWS Infrastructure Services Organization, Adhish Bhobe, who is a technical product manager with Route 53, and Les Williams, a senior infrastructure interconnections business developer. We'll get to know them a little bit more, get to know who they are personally outside of work, which I think is a lot more fun to really know the human behind the work and then see the incredible work that they do here and how it impacts all our customers. So with that, Jenna, welcome back. Missed you last week, and love the photos you shared from Jamaica.
Yeah, I was in Jamaica. It was really great. Stayed in a castle.
Yeah, I saw the photos. How long were you there?
I was there for 4 long days.
4 long days.
Or maybe not long enough.
It's never long enough. It's never long enough. So awesome. So let's bring on our guests. Let's bring on Adhish and Les. Welcome to the show.
Hello.
Thanks for having us, sir.
Yeah. So let's do this. Adhish, let's start off with quick introductions. But before you go into your full introduction, let me ask you this: how would you describe yourself? Describe what you do in 10 words or less.
Oh my God. Really stumped me. Well, the first thing that comes to my mind is trying to understand the pain points of customers and bringing it to life with new solutions.
Awesome. Well, now you could go into your full background. Give us like that 90-second snapshot of your background.
Yeah. So, hello everyone. My name is Adhish Bhobe. I'm a product manager at AWS. I'm with the Amazon Route 53 team, and as a product manager, you get to wear many hats. But at the core of it, you are really the voice of the customer, and that's what I do. Day in, day out, I'm listening to customers, engaging with them, engaging with different stakeholders, and then really bringing that voice into the meetings, into engagements with our engineering teams, into engagement with our stakeholders, support teams, finance, to really create a solution and an initiative and products for our customers that delight them. Everything at Amazon is, based on customers and how you work backwards from that. So my role really, I feel like my role really personifies that. You work backwards from the customer's ask and bring it to life with new products and solutions and innovations.
Awesome. Well, thank you for that. Les, let's bring you on. 10 words or less. What do you do?
Well, I've had a little bit of.
I do.
Let's see. 10 words or less. I build internet infrastructure to deliver great customer experiences.
Excellent. It's funny. I started doing this for the last couple of weeks, and always the second person is already fully prepped. Thank you for that. Now, what about let's share your full background, if you don't mind.
Well, currently I'm Les Williams, a senior infrastructure business developer here at AWS. My pronouns are he, him, and I work within the Amazon Web Services Infrastructure Services Organization. And my team that I'm in is the Global Connectivity Infrastructure Development Group. In that group, we are responsible for the network that powers Amazon's cloud services and all the applications that customers get to run on the Amazon services. And it's interesting, Adhish is a product person because what Adhish builds and all those services and products, we get to build the underlying fabric, the network upon which they run, and to make sure we can deliver those services performantly to the end customers. My day-to-day involves working with all the large carriers and all ISPs, everyone in the internet, to make sure we have sufficient capacity at the right place, at the right time, and with the right performance to ensure our end customers are able to take full advantage of the Amazon services.
Excellent. Well, thank you for sharing that. Before we do a deeper dive into the work stuff, tell me something interesting about yourself personally outside of work.
Something that's interesting is that I always sit back. I currently am coming to you today from New Jersey, and I am attached to our New York office, which is JFK 25. So I make the commute into work, which is a pleasant commute on a daily basis. I get to think, I get to do work as well. But one interesting fact about me, and when I have those moments of reflection, is the fact that I am a direct descendant of freed persons that were emigrated back to Africa, starting way back in the 1800s. So I was originally born in Sierra Leone, West Africa, and to a tribe called the Creoles. The Creoles were those set of freed persons that were taken from the US and other parts of the Caribbean and Europe and repatriated back to Sierra Leone. The city, in fact, is called Freetown, as a representation of freed slaves, a settlement for freed slaves. So many years, centuries now, I'm back here as a free person and thriving and doing the best within Amazon and fulfilling my goals.
Fascinating. That's fascinating. Jenna, I see thoughts coming to your mind. You got to talk.
I love to hear that, and I'm sorry you're the first time I'm hearing it. I'd like to hear more of that.
Yeah. Well, thank you for sharing that, and we're happy to have you here, and we're going to dive into that. Definitely want to understand, what it's been like for you here. Now that you are in the city, you've been here, obviously, right? But also, how Amazon handles, ID&E as well. So, love to get your thoughts on that in a few minutes. Adhish, what about you? Tell us something interesting about your background.
Yeah. So growing up, I actually had the privilege of growing up in multiple countries throughout my childhood. So I grew up in all throughout till my college, in 3 different countries, starting with India, and then I was in the Middle East for some time before moving to the United States for completing my education, college. So I truly appreciate all the different places that I've lived in, because they've thrown me in different environments. I've met so many different people. I've lived across 10 different cities. I've changed 10 different schools during my lifetime, and so I've always appreciated being the new person in the room, trying to understand the environment, new cultures, new backgrounds. And so that's something that I've carried over even in my work life, as I'm meeting new people and teams. One of my personal goals is to visit 30 countries before I'm 40, which I hope to achieve, because I've already hit about 15 countries so far. So I'm already halfway there. But that's a little bit about me.
How many languages do you speak now, by the way?
So I'm fluent in about 4 different languages, but I can also understand 2 more languages. So it's 6 in total. Growing up in India gives you the privilege of understanding multiple languages like Hindi, English, my native language, Marathi, Urdu. But I can also read and understand a little bit of Arabic and German, which I took up later in college.
There you go.
Wow, I hope that you meet this goal of yours. It sounds so aspirational, and I love just hearing the diverse backgrounds that you both have, in terms of what you've embraced and what you've overcome. So that is absolutely amazing. I think we can dive into all that. I actually wonder, do you know each other? or have you? You're both in the AIS organization. Are you meeting for the first time, or do you actually work together?
We're meeting for the first time. AIS is
Oh,
pretty large. AIS is pretty large.
right. So I don't know if people know necessarily what Route 53 is and what the interconnect business is. So I it would be great if we can maybe elaborate a little bit on that. And the one common thing that I heard from both of you is just being customer facing. So even helping people understand what differentiates what you do as a product manager and a business development manager.
Sure. I can go less, or do you want to take that?
Yeah, good. You're on the feature right now, so I'll go after you.
Amazon Route 53 manages the DNS for our customers. So DNS is essentially the gateway to the internet, domain net system, network system, which allows you to type in anything in your website like www.amazon.com, and it connects you to the world, essentially the internet. And so Amazon Route 53 manages the DNS for all our customers on AWS. If you want to set up a new domain, if you want to manage your domains, or if you want to have your customers or your applications that are hosted on AWS connect to the internet, it allows for all of that in this service product that we manage. My role as a product manager, and Amazon Route 53 is huge, so it's got multiple products, and we have expanded over many years in many different ways. Um, my role as a product manager is I've been working primarily on a security aspect, on security side of DNS. So how customers are able to safely connect to the internet, how they're able to make sure that their traffic going over the internet is safe, and at the same time it's not putting up signal issues. And so I take a lot of that. I meet with a lot of customers. I take a lot of their inputs on how they want to see internet as a safer place, and then I translate that into business requirements or product requirements that help our engineering team deliver products to customers.
Thank you for
Thank
sharing
you.
that.
And could we get less to fill in the rest?
Yeah.
Sure. And the interconnect business is Adhish mentioned about DNS, about the internet, and how folks put things into their browser and it gets routed and it gets resolved to point them to Amazon. If you were to just hold that picture, but now not just from the resolving of the address, but more of what you consume in terms of Amazon services, whether it be S3 or EC2, or it be just video on demand that you're watching on Amazon Prime, or some of the shopping that you do at Amazon, and every other services that run on the Amazon cloud or the Amazon infrastructure. We at the interconnect side gets to build that capacity at the edge to make sure it gets to our customers with the best performance, make sure there is that capacity fully available all the time. So in my role, I look at data centers that are closest to our customer. We call them the eyeballs, the folks that are consuming this content. For instance, a good example would be Thursday Night Football, which is streamed exclusively on Amazon Prime Video to ensure the best quality of experience for viewers who are on the Amazon network. We have to make sure that the capacity is there with their local ISP to get quickly to that content and to ensure they get a great quality of experience. So our time is highly focused on making sure that all those interconnected pieces are there. And this is, we're talking about it at a global scale, whereas Thursday Night Football might be unique to the United States. There are other European Premier League that we do the same thing with, as well as Copa and a bunch of other events around the world that gets to be supported. And our network needs to be built and scaled for that. And in the advent of AI, a lot of capacity is required, not only on the cloud, but also on the RAMs for people to be able to communicate with the cloud infrastructure. And we need to make sure that that capacity is in place.
So how do you said you both don't know each other, but is that because product managers and business development managers don't have a reason to interact, or you're just on different businesses? And how would a product manager and a business development manager potentially interact?
Given that I'm on screen, I'll probably start, and Adhish, you can keep me honest here. I think it's a pretty big organization. There's thousands of us, and we are sometimes divided into different regions and geographies, and it depends on which project you're working on at a particular point in time. There is a good interlock between our groups, which is 53, the data center operations group, the fiber building group as well, but we all don't get to talk to each other all the time because we may be having different assignments at a particular time. For instance, at the moment, my key focus is on the Canadian market, as well as some key carriers in the US, whereas there's somebody else that does South America. So chances are we may not overlap, we might not interact with all the folks in Route 53.
Got it. So the thing that you both do have in common is you've both been here for about the same time. I think Ashish 3.5 years, less 4 years, or am I reversing it? What have you observed in terms of the landscape of the market, and in terms of the challenges and just what's ahead?
Yeah, I think so. I've been here. I'm going to be completing my 5th year in just 2 weeks. So I'll be having my 5-year anniversary.
Congrats.
Thank you. I have seen a few changes here since I've been here. I think when I joined here, cloud was still very much the buzz, and it is still very much the buzz. Like with big enterprises adopting cloud and making sure that their infrastructure is solid, it's resilient. But at the same time, what we also see that there are beyond just the big enterprises, there are a lot of smaller enterprises that are also starting to adopt cloud. Um, there's also a strong will for customers to not just adopt cloud, but also have additional higher and better features that they did not have previously when they were on premises. Um, so, and in the last year or so, we have seen that with AI. A lot of the push has come from artificial intelligence. It was always there, but I think it's just taken that next leap with generative AI, where you see a lot of customers in our conversations asking, "Hey, what are you doing to innovate yourself in the space? What else can we see from your team come in the space?" So I think that is very exciting for us because it gives us a different direction, but it also tells us that there's this new unexplored space for our teams to look into that we previously did not have.
Yeah, I just want to quickly address a comment. I know Dilly Push put LLM and RAG, vector database. It was ML before, and everybody seems to want a RAG, which is very true. Yeah, everything is machine learning. We've been using machine learning for decades now, right? But it is the new term with generative AI and whatnot, using the large language models and RAG as well with our Bedrock products. So.
Thank you, Adhish.
Yeah. Let me ask you, like, what are you personally, when you think about generative AI, right? What are you personally looking, what are you hoping it actually does, for society?
I think for larger society, there are so many things. I think the key part that, in my opinion, generative AI that can solve is how to structure and provide customers with the right information in a consumable fashion that is easy to consume, right? Like you have, you obviously have the traditional search engines that where you can search for things, But for someone who is not very technologically, it's not complex searches that you need answers for. I think generative AI that really simplifies a lot of things for you. It You can ask a question as, like, for example, very recently, my wife and I, we were thinking of having a birthday cake for my 3-year-old daughter, whose birthday is coming up in a week, and we're thinking, what kind of different ideas we can have for a birthday cake. Um, and that's where generative AI just popped up, like, hey, send me new ideas of birthday cakes for 3-year-olds with safari animals, and then it showed so many different ideas. um, I think for me, it really simplifies a lot of that, taking data in the most complex way and simplifying it for anyone, and organizing it in a way that is useful for end users. I think that's the power of generative AI. For the larger community and for me, I think that means that my day-to-day activities are reduced. I don't have to spend a lot of time searching for things. I don't have to spend a lot of time organizing my ideas. I can quickly get those using generative AI. I think that's where I see the real power of it. What I also like to see is making sure that the data and the information that I get is correct and it's verifiable. I think that's one of the key expectations that I also have from generative AI.
Awesome. Well, thank you for sharing that. What about you, Les?
Awesome. Les, did you have any perspective on, the
Yeah,
deciding
I'll start with
landscape?
Jenner's. Sorry, I'll start with Jenner's last question with regards to market trends and what we see, and then give my take on generative AI a little bit. I think, and I would come to this more from the network, which maybe is a little bit on the core side, not so much so the outward facing part of the business. And that would mean, what do we do on the network side? What do we see? For instance, we pair with all the major ISPs, pretty much all ISPs around the world. And what used to be interconnection speeds at like 10 gigs and 100 gigs, now the requirement for that has changed. And AWS has innovated on our backbone to be 400 gig capable. So in our backbone, it's all 400 gig. And another trend that we see in the market is automation, network automation, the way we interact, the way we provision services, the way we turn up services. And these are all things that are done to make sure we have the speed to diagnose issues in the network and remediate them before they become problematic or even noticeable to the customers, as well as the speed at which we scale and provide the capacity to make sure the service is 100% available and can reach the most people at any point in time. So we've seen that leap in the industry where 10 gigs is no longer a normal interconnection speed. And we are now talking about 100 gigs and 400 gigs. And with the advent, again, of generative AI, that is only going to increase. So we don't know where we'll go next after the 400 gigs. There are some 800 gigs being tested. But we see generative AI bringing that on. And a key usefulness that I think generative AI would lend for us is that we already do a lot of that within our network, because for you to be able to handle network automation properly and at the scale at which Amazon does, there has to be some strong intelligence for the network to self-diagnose, to be self-monitor, to be able to report intelligently as to what is going on, to help operators look at that. So we think that would continue to sharpen the way we do things and the decision-making tools that we have at hand. In my daily role, there's a leadership principle that talks about dive deep, and we need to dive deep when we go into new markets. We need to dive deep when we're putting together strategy papers and things like that. And we have a plethora of information. We have a robust wiki with any and everything in there. So leveraging generative AI on there really just help accelerate our research process and our decision-making process. And I think from an end user standpoint, again, it means that traffic would increase because a lot of people will be doing a lot more with their laptops and their phones, and what other processing they can do at the edge of the network. So,
yeah, there's so much opportunity. It's must be fascinating to have seen the transformation in your time here, and know that this is only the beginning. There's more transformation to come. What are you excited about? Either one of you.
I'm excited about the prospects of the growth for Amazon with regards to in light of generative AI and the leadership position we can take on there. We have a large cloud platform which caters to multiple instances of generative AI, machine learning, and everything. So folks are able to come to the Amazon cloud and get all the tools that they need to be able to effectively implement generative AI. So that is something that is exciting. And for me, from a network standpoint and an interconnection standpoint, I'm still learning and trying to understand what that impact is on the network and how that impacts my demand structure and how do I need to scale. It poses some interesting challenges, and that makes it, again, interesting for us to stay at line and be curious, which is another leadership principle here, one of my favorite as well, to just dive deep and continue to grow.
There's a couple of comments in the chat, especially from Daily Push, who was mentioning, the data cleaning aspect of it has been great. I also believe that it kind of removes a lot of the junk noise that you see, so I like that. But at the same time, this is interesting. First time I heard someone mention this, that, there's always much more room to take the large models and shrink them, so I don't know. What are your thoughts, like Adhish, if you were to think about that as well? What are your thoughts on that comment?
I think that may be the next leap that we would take. I think personally for me is as the growth of generative AI and use of it both within your enterprise and personally grows. That would be the next step that is required, right? Like, how do you ensure that more and more data gets used by these models, and then make sure it's compressed and used and scaled across all your devices and PCs and mobile phones and everywhere, in a way that is performant. I think that's the next leap. How do you make this performant uh, for all your users? Um, Within the enterprise, going back to your earlier question, I think in my day-to-day work, I'd like to really see generative AI simplify my work. And we're already starting to see that in our organization. One of the things that we're trying to do is um, how do you really make it easy for a new hire to ramp up to his team. There's always like new things to read, new things to learn. And you always need a buddy or a mentor to help you, and that's always there. But our use of generative AI within our team is really helping new hires quickly get up to speed with new information. They don't have to go through all the wikis and quickly find information and get up to speed. So I like to really see that leap kind of go next level, where you have models or ways that employees can really reduce a lot of their day-to-day work, repeatable work, and so that we can get things out faster for our customers. Invent and simplify is one of the key leadership principles I really like, and I think this is a great opportunity for us at AWS to kind of go in that direction.
Yeah, it's I think about this though, right? It's like, is less making it less clunky better, or do you actually need more? Because the problem that we've seen in the past is, if all you had is one type of data, it'll only generate an answer based on that type of data, where you need a diverse set of perspectives and thoughts, and you need to hear from every community out there, right?
Yeah.
So is less more, or actually you do need more? So I want to get both your thoughts. I mean, maybe less, what are your thoughts on that?
I'm inclined to say less is more just because of my name. But I think it depends on what part of it you're looking at. It's good to have the full database of information that you can draw from, but then that's where the power of the engine comes in terms of distilling that into just the right size or the simplified data that is required to make a decision at any one point in time. So yeah, I think you do need the different and extensive database, but you also need to be able to deliver simplified and accurate, precise solutions on top of that.
Gotcha. And Adhish, what are your thoughts on that?
I think for me, just like you want to have diverse opinions in any engagement, any meeting, you would expect the same to also be there when you're engaging with a generative AI tool. And so from that perspective, having diverse data really completes that, because you don't want to pivot or index on just one type of data or output that you get when you feed into generative AI. I think it also depends on what you're using it for. If you're using it for day-to-day activities, things related to work, I think having that static data in there that gives you the same output makes it easier to use. But if you're really asking or using generative AI for opinions, I think that's where you really need that diverse set of uh, inputs into the models that can give you different and diverse outputs as well.
Thank you for sharing that.
Well, you guys are getting really technical, so I'm going to try to humanize things. But before we do, actually, Isaiah has a technical question, so maybe we should cover that.
Yeah,
You
let's
see
go.
that right?
Yeah. What is one of the biggest challenges you both face with the increased demand for AI products? Who wants to take this first?
So I can take that one. One of the biggest challenge that I face, and I'm going to be very specific to my role as a product manager, is to really understand the key problem that customers are facing. Because in my role as a PM, we always think backwards from the customers and what customers' problems are. And really, that is the 90% of my job. I think getting the solution, the product out is obviously very critical, but we spend a lot of time brainstorming and trying to understand, crafting, and building the problem area around what custom problems are. So in case of AI products, generative AI products, while it does have a lot of potential, what I think the biggest challenge that I face as a product manager is trying to understand what are really the biggest issues and the problems that it will solve for customers, right? There are obviously some obvious issues and gaps in our current implementation and what solutions we have today. Um, but if you want to invent on behalf of the customer and bring out something very innovative, getting to the depth of what customer problems, I think that's the challenge that I feel as a PM on a day-to-day basis.
For me, I think everybody hears about like the chips and everything, and that's what goes into the servers for machine models and all those things. But what you don't hear too much about, which is what we get to worry about on a daily basis, is what is the impact on the network? How do I size the network going forward? What kind of facilities should I be deploying at to meet the carriers, and make sure that customers are able to get to our infrastructure easily and again with high performance. Now, in certain instances, we have, when you look at the data center landscape, we have what used to be traditional carrier hotels, where all the carriers will come in there and would all use cross connects and will connect one to the other, and we can exchange the traffic and the information easily. between our cloud platform and their network, ultimately to their end users. Now, some of those data centers are dated, and some of them, have power constraints, and some of them, the architecture is what it is. It's been there for many, many years, but those are the best connectivity dense area where you can connect to all the networks and be able to reach everyone, including those of us on this call. Now, with AI and the demands for those types of servers and those types of services, the things that we worry about is how much longer, how far can we stretch these facilities? One thing that AWS has been doing is that we've built a hybrid model where we have borrowers that are full AWS facilities, large data centers that can house our servers, and have power at massive scale, and then tether back to some of these carrier facilities. So we are having to think of what is the right connectivity speed, what is the right facilities where we deploy, and all these go into our daily plan. So those are some of the interesting challenges that we get to think about on a daily basis when in light of the
Nice. Well, for the audience and for you guests, we try to balance this show with learning about for the viewers to learn about different roles and get some technical knowledge from some of our experts. So thank you for helping us achieve that. The other part of our show is to show the human experience, really, of working here. And so I'd like to try to get a little bit personal and ask if either of you are willing to share the most surprising thing you've learned about yourself working here.
Who wants to go first?
I can start. Adhish started last time. I think it's a bit of a surprise, but more so of an acceptance to see that I love the art of writing, and I think one thing that is a misnomer out there is the fact about AWS and its 3-pagers and 6-pagers and things like that. But we communicate ideas and strategies differently here at AWS. And the 3-pager, the 6-pager are things that we use to communicate that. For instance, when we had to expand in Canada with AWS Canada West region in Calgary, I had to write a strategy paper for interconnection, and the data center folks, and these were our mode of communication between each group to just say, this is what we're thinking. This, you take your time, you do the deep dive, you look and do all your research, and you present it. And the great part about it is that we come into meetings. It's not like meetings elsewhere. Is that we use the first half of that meeting to just review the document, sometimes with your peers, sometimes with your managers, with different departments, and everybody get a chance to go through it, put comments, give you feedback, good and bad, well, not bad feedback, good and constructive, and you take that back and you enhance it. At the end of the day, you're coming out with the best outcome and the best vision and the best strategy. And sometimes you're in other environments where you will send detailed documents, you send detailed lists, people look at it, and some people don't even read it, and you come to meetings and they're not even aware of what's going on. But this mode of writing, of articulating your thoughts, your ideas, and getting feedback, it's very powerful because you feel heard, you feel that you get good, and you end up with the best product. So for me, that was a pleasant surprise / acceptance that I like that form of engagement and that form of structured dealing.
I love that. Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing that. That's such a great insight for those that are watching. How about you, Adhish?
Les, you kind of stole my answer.
Well, we're thinking the same. Good.
But I'll hit up on a slightly different part of the writing culture here. I think for me, the surprising thing, not surprising, but a good thing about it is it has really helped me structure my thoughts. You as a PM, you hear so many different signals, and comments and inputs come from so many different stakeholders: customers, engineering, marketing, finance, and to really distill that noise into something concrete. I think writing culture and the 6 pages really helped me do that, to be able to take something ambiguous and turn it into something very concrete that I can present to my stakeholders. And I think it also sets and standardizes, as Les mentioned, the the structure of meetings, where you come into the meetings, you know exactly how that meeting is structured. You read the document, you're aligned on what's written there, and then the meeting begins and discussion starts based on what is written in the document. So it really helps create very effective meetings and discussions that takes the decisions forward. I think for me that has been uh, both a learning experience, but also a very beneficial experience to help me understand my thoughts.
Awesome. So you both have shared that you work with many different stakeholders, that we're such a big organization, and you can be interacting with a multitude of individuals. So how do you approach understanding the perspectives of colleagues whose background may be different than yours?
Yeah, I think for me, just from my own background and my experience coming from different parts of the world, um, one of the things that has been beneficial for me is to understand the person on a more personal level. Um, and so I work with a lot of different stakeholders. That includes folks from engineering, from finance, marketing, support, um, and I do tend to have at least a monthly one-on-one with each of them, just to understand what they're doing outside of work. Um, what are some of the key blockers that they're facing at work, how I can help them. I think that has really helped me forge better relationships with folks as they come into the meetings, provide their different perspectives, um, depending on their work background, their personal background. I think for me that has been very crucial in my time at Amazon and AWS.
Awesome.
It's interesting because we're we're kind of operating the same way in many instances. One-on-ones are big for me as well, but also what I tend to do is that I have an interesting background and I'm happy to share. So I make myself vulnerable to let people know where I'm from, what are some of the things that matter to me. And I do check for their signals as to how much they want to know, how much they want to hear, what is their sentiment. But sometimes when you do that, I mean, it shows that you're coming from a place of genuine intent. And that also helps with another one of our leadership principle, which is earn trust. Once you're able to earn that trust, people are able to open up to you, to be able to be vulnerable to you, to be able to be themselves around you, so that you can be able to get their verbal and social cues that is their motivators and what matters to them. So I tend to leverage that, and sometimes it's just respectfully asking, saying, "Look, I really do want to understand. I want to understand your background. I want to know." As long as you come from a place of genuine intent and respect, people are happy to tell you about what matters to them and to tell you about themselves, and you can form bonds that way.
I appreciate you sharing that, and couldn't agree more. And I just want to quickly, before I ask the next question, I just want to make a quick call out that I put a bunch of links in the chat because we get asked this often. One is to join the AWS Talent Network. It's both for the entry level folks to the more experienced folks, and depending on what your interests are, they would actually send you information about new openings, etc. I also put a link to our AWS Global Infrastructure Services organization. So take a look at that. It even has openings listed there as well. There's also a 1 minute survey, that we put in. It's just three simple questions. We need to get your feedback. This will help us, with developing new shows and the programmings and whatnot. And the other thing is career change. This was actually I joined the stream, the AWS live stream for front end developers, just a couple of hours ago, and there were some people were asking about jobs, and I just happened to be the recruiter for it, and one person was asking about career change, like how do they get into a role if they're not in tech, and that's another great thing called Restart. Yeah, I'll send the link again for it, Victor TV. I'll repaste them one more time. So that's one of the few things. Now let me ask either of you. Do any of you belong to any affinity groups here?
I do. I belong to Asians at Amazon.
Okay.
I've been part of that for almost just little over 4 years now since I joined Amazon.
Okay.
Um, and it's they're very engaging. It's a big community. We come together to celebrate different festivals, um, different days that are special to specific parts of different regions of Asia. So I think for me, it's for me it's a way to connect with my community.
Excellent. And what about you, Les?
It's great that you followed that question, follow the last one about how do you get to learn the background of others. And we do have 16 affinity groups here at Amazon, including LGBTQ, Ben, Asians, Latino, in women art. There's all these many different affinity groups. I belong to Ben, which is the Black Employee Network. But in addition to all of that, there is the one that is across all of Amazon, and that's the Amazon IDNE, or Inclusion, Diversity, and Equity. And we do IDNE, not DEI, because we put an emphasis on the inclusion part of it. And within that, there is employee-run inclusion ambassador program. So I am an inclusion ambassador program as well, and that cuts across all different affinity groups. I currently am the regional lead for Americas in that program. And what that does, along with Ben, is it allows, like Adhish mentioned just now, to broaden my network outside of my core team or just my department or the types of roles that I would interact with on a day-to-day basis. And through that, I get to know a lot of people. And we were talking about 6 pages earlier on. This is something that I saw a gap there. I was passionate about it. And through my job, I get the opportunity to participate in industry functions like the network, the North American Network Operators Group, NANOG, which has all the different folks, all the players in the internet space, meet 3 times a year to discuss what the internet would look like going forward and stuff like that. And I happened to be on their programming committee, and I looked and saw the diversity dynamics there, and was able to write, a document that goes to my bosses to get funding to create access for college students, across the country to come to these events. So, it is a good way to network. It's a good way to be able to embrace your authentic self and feel belonged here at Amazon. So, long way of saying, yes, I am, and I enjoy it.
No, I appreciate you sharing that. And I think what people don't realize is it's not just joining, an affinity group that you personally identify with, but also joining others as allies is also as important. And that's what I also did. I also joined the Ben Network, Ben, as well as Asians at Amazon. And it was interesting because this year, for the first time, after joining the Asians at Amazon, they were celebrating Eid, which passed a couple months ago, and they had an Eid celebration for the folks in our New York City office, and that was the first time I actually saw part of my identity, being celebrated there. My 5 years, I knew it was happening before, but I didn't know to this level of details, and I ended up getting to meet so many great people and networking with them. So it's great to be an ally as well. And also this month, you look at it, it's let's talk about like Pride. It's Pride Month too, so we have Glamazon for our LGBTQ community as well. So they also have a page dedicated to them to get to learn more about what it's know what it's like for them here at AWS, and because representation matters from every angle. So yeah, I just want to quickly share that.
Along with those celebrations, there is also, I think it's the month for National Refugee or something like that, Global Refugee Month or something like that.
Okay.
And one thing that these affinity groups here are doing is helping with translation services. As you can see, there's so much unrest around the world. There's wars and people get displaced all the time. And they've partnered with Tajimly, which is like an app. And Amazonians from different backgrounds and different, like Adhish speaks 4 languages, could be on that platform. And when these people find themselves displaced and trying to interpret like refugee registration forms and everything, they can just be put into those apps, and an Amazonian can help walk them through that. So a lot of good things are coming out of those, observations and embracing of different cultures and activities.
If you have the link, just throw it in our chat, and I'll throw it up into the main chat. If you haven't, the name of the app again and whatnot, if you can find it, it'll be great.
Yeah, I'll send that to you.
Yeah, if not, we could also share it afterwards. So yeah, we only have just a couple minutes left. I just want to share one last thing. Let me do this. Let me add to the stage. Let me go to. So again, some of you folks are watching through Twitch, but we also have the YouTube, AWS Careers YouTube channel. Follow that. That's another great way for you to learn more about the culture here, especially when we're talking about ID&E. There's a series of videos for Black Employee Network, the women at Amazon, the Asians at Amazon, etc. So make sure you like and subscribe to the YouTube AWS Careers channel as well, and vice versa. And those that aren't familiar with Twitch and watching from YouTube, again, twitch.tv/AWS. This is another great channel to watch because there's a lot of live development on that channel. As mentioned before, I was on the front end developers channel. So I think Leslie just joined. There's a little bit of an echo. Let me just quickly mute. Yeah, sorry about that. I'll just quickly mute for now. If you can adjust the volume, but with that, follow each other. They're great resources. One is live. You can actually interact with other AWS professionals. So it's a really great channel to watch, and at the same time, the AWS career. So let me bring this back. Let's go with final parting thoughts. Adhish. What do you have? Any final words?
No, I think the one that I would probably part with is my time at Amazon so far has been very very nice and very beneficial, and it's been a time of growth for me. Where I started off just out of college, and I was given this really large opportunity to lead an entire product area from day one. And I think that's to me that's been one of the ownership aspect of Amazon and leadership principle that comes with it. I think that has been amazing because it's helped me grow professionally, personally. It's opened me to so many different opportunities. I think for me that is what makes Amazon such a great place to work.
Awesome. And Les.
I didn't say before, but I'm a little over 3 years now at Amazon, and I'm excited. It's still day one. I'm looking at great things, and one of my key leadership principles is the learn and be curious. And I believe that we have to keep looking around corners, and that's a way to stay relevant. I did mention through our conversation here about the 6 pages and all that stuff, and diving deep and understanding. And as AWS is about innovation on a consistent basis, we When I joined, it was mostly cloud services, and then we went into streaming when we needed to work with CloudFront and Prime Video to ensure that we have the sizes. So I had to learn quickly what metrics matter to those folks in the Prime Video and CloudFront. And now we have generative AI, so it's another iteration of learning. And ultimately, I find out that when you get to master the facts and you get the knowledge, then it's a natural easement into ownership. So I enjoy all those things being here, and I think it's a great place to work because there's awesome people here.
Thank you. And Jenna, any last final words before we sign off for today?
I always learn something when I do these calls, so this has been a really great experience. I didn't know about some of the programs that we had, so thank you, Les, for that. I've learned about technology, and I don't have anything else to add. That's it for today. And Ray, I just hope you're enjoying your new job. We haven't really had a chance to connect with each other, so.
I definitely am. But yeah, I appreciate everyone here. Adhish, Les, Jenna. As Jenna mentioned, learned a lot. Learned about not only your great backgrounds outside of work, but also here. But it goes to show, the more you talk to people, they'll fascinate you. They will fascinate you from both personal to professional. Their backgrounds are something that could be inspirational to some, and also, what you shared earlier, Les, with the refugee program and the partnership with AWS. We just added that link in the chat, so it was really informative. And let's see, Isaiah, and also because coffee is fantastic, right? Yeah. So, anyways, thank you, everybody. I really appreciate everyone joining, and hope you have a great rest of your week. And we'll see you again very soon. All right, take care, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.